Hey guys, so I've been getting a million questions about starting a blog nowadays, and many want to know, like, how do they start, what do they need, with everything that goes along with it. It's honestly crazy that blogging has become a real job, and I honestly would have never thought in my entire life that this is what I would have been doing. Even when I started blogging, I had no idea like what I was doing. I was just doing it for fun. It was a creative outlet. I always loved taking pictures, and I was always into fashion from when I was a kid, so it just kind of came naturally to me. I started blogging before I even knew what blogging was. I didn't even know other people were doing it. I didn't even call it blogging. Honestly, it was my website. So it's exciting that it's come so far, and I feel like it's still so new that it's still ever evolving. And what's nice is that it doesn't seem to be dying down, and there's room for more. So I don't think it's weird to start a blog in 2016. I feel like if anything, you have a head start because you already know it's a business and you know what can come of it. I think about a lot of us that started earlier didn't really know what we were doing, and we had to grow into it, and we had to evolve, and now you can kind of start with everything that you need. So it's kind of cool. I just wanted to go over 5 things that you need to start a blog. So in 2016, because if you're gonna start a blog now, you gotta start on the right foot. You don't really have the leeway to learn because it's moving fast. Things are evolving very quickly. Even I feel behind a lot of the time. So the first and most important thing is have your niche. Find your niche or niche, however you pronounce it. I feel like everyone pronounces it different, but find out what it is about you and what you have to offer that is unique and different, because it's very saturated out there and you want to be able to stand out above the crowd. For me, my blog didn't start doing well, or at least my traffic on my Instagram and all that, it didn't really start increasing until I started doing my DIYs. And that, I feel like, was the moment I started kind of standing apart from the crowd and doing my own thing. I'm an art kid. I have an art background. I love creating things. I grew up, my dad is a carpenter, so I grew up just building things and helping him do things, and it's just in me to do that. So that's something unique to me that I have to offer to people. So I feel like you have to find that thing. If you have a talent or something that makes you stand out from the crowd of what everyone else is doing, because honestly, if you're just posting outfits, it's gonna be hard to completely stand out. You want to, unless your outfits are like crazy, like that could be your thing, like you just wear ridiculously crazy things and you make it work and you look fabulous. So whatever it is, just figure out what it is that makes you special and makes you stand out, and try to make that known through your blogging and through your imagery. Second thing I want to say is hire photographers. If you're gonna start this and it's gonna be like a business, like we know it's a business now, so you need to have a budget. That's just a given. You can't no business owner started a business with zero budget. Even if it's small, you gotta have something. And if you have friends, the more favors you can ask, the better. Like if you have creative friends, that will help you tenfold. So definitely hiring and working with photographers that match your aesthetic is very important, because you want your images to be crisp, clean, to be creative. You want them to stand out. So you don't want to just like have any old person taking your pictures if you're trying to do this legitimate as a business and to stand out. It's very important. I can't stress it enough. Go on Instagram, look up photographers in your area, start following people, start DMing people. That's like a good step. If you have friends that know, ask around, to find the right person for you. And sometimes it's hard to know exactly what you want, right? So I feel like the best thing to do is find a photographer who's already doing what you like you love their imagery, then it makes it easier for you to kind of work together, so you're not kind of forcing a relationship. Because I don't work with a ton of photographers because I have a certain aesthetic that I like, and I haven't found a million people that have that, so, or that I can afford. So I would just look to find the photographer that already has your aesthetic and the things that you love, and work with that person, or try to work with that person. 3, your website needs to be legit. It needs to be clean, crisp, easy to navigate. You don't want it to look amateur. At this point of starting a blog, like, you can't start amateur. You have to like be on your P's and Q's and have everything together. So I recommend, there's a lot, like, because blogging has become so big, there's a lot of companies out there that make templates for bloggers, like WordPress templates. I recommend WordPress. I feel like that's the most professional program that you can use. I don't know if it's called a program or anyway, provide like, I don't know what they're called. Anyway, there's WordPress as Blogger, there's Squarespace, there's all those companies, and I personally like WordPress the best for blogs. So I would just invest in a good WordPress template. If you have the money for a web designer, that's always the best. But sometimes a template is just all you really need, as long as there's so many good ones out right now that you don't really need to hire a web designer and spend all that money. So I will put a few, for everything I'm saying, I'll put a few suggestions below. Like for places where you can get a good template, I'll put some links below to help you out. And even photographers that you might want to work with in LA, I'll put some links below to them as well, and you can reach out and kind of get started. But yeah, your website, it needs to be clean, crisp, your pictures, all of it. So invest in a good website, whether it's a web designer, a template, whatever it is. Learn some code, learn a little bit of the back end. I think that's always helpful, just to know a little bit. I learned some of the back end just by starting a blog. I started on Blogger, and I was trying to customize it so much before I really realized WordPress is better. I was trying to customize my Blogger so much that I ended up learning a lot of the back end. But I think it's helpful to just know some basic HTML coding and all that. You can just YouTube that stuff, but it'll make the more you know on your own, the easier and better your content is gonna be. So for me, like, I learned my camera, I learned the settings. I use a Canon 5D Mark II, and I learned all my settings. I learned how to set it up the way that I like to take pictures, and I took the time to learn it. I went online and I learned it. Right now I'm filming with the Canon G7X. I use that for all my videos. It's the best camera for videos. I love it for a lot of different reasons, but we can go into that later. But I looked it up and I researched it before I bought it. Also, to go along with your website, you want to make sure you have good SEO, which is search engine optimization. So that is just your kind of your Google ranking, or just how you show up in searches. So you want your content to be searchable. Like if you look up locks and trinkets, I will pop up. You want that to happen for your blog. If you look up Miss Anosha, articles on me or different things like that will pop up. So you can work. I think that honestly is something worth investing in. And there's companies like Chloe Digital that help bloggers with SEO and help them get their ranking up and be searchable, because a lot of my traffic comes from Google searches, and that's just a great way to get new people to your blog that wouldn't have known about it otherwise. 4, invest in a good camera. If you are going, I honestly feel like regardless of if you mostly work with photographers, you still need a decent camera for yourself, because there's gonna be times where you don't have it. Like I honestly just don't believe in solely relying on other people for something that's your baby, you know? So I feel like you have to know stuff and you have to learn stuff on your own, and you should be well versed in some areas if you're gonna treat this as a business. So I feel like investing in a great camera is perfect, and learning about it. Like I said, I learned my camera, so buy the camera, but don't just buy it. Learn how to use it, learn how to set it up. For me, because I learned my camera so well, I can set it up and almost anyone can shoot me because I know the angles that I like. I know the settings to set it on for the lighting, and at that point you're kind of good to go. As long as the person isn't like completely horrible, you can kind of get by with having different people take your pictures if you know how to set your camera up. So it just helps you out a lot to know that, and it honestly can save you a lot of money to initially invest in a great camera. And I'll put some good cameras that I like below for like vlogging videos and blogging pictures. 5, stay consistent. So I honestly feel like you can't say you're a blogger, that you do this for a living, if you only do it like once a month. I mean, if you work, do you go to work once a month? Like, that doesn't make sense. You would be fired. So I feel like if you're going to blog, you need to be consistent. That's how you grow. That's how you get seen. That's just how you build your brand, is the consistency, because people start to see like how, like what you're doing, and they get to see it on a timely manner, and they get intrigued. And when they're intrigued and they want to see more, and then you don't do anything for a while, like, you know, the world has ADD and they'll forget about you if you stop posting. So I think it's really important to just keep up with it, and maybe don't start until you have a plan. Well, definitely don't start until you have a plan and you've mapped it out and you have like at least a few weeks of content already done. Because that way you don't have to stress about, oh my gosh, this week I need content, I need content, I need content. Like, kind of always try to stay ahead of yourself. So if you have the luxury of you're just starting new, you know, don't stress out in the beginning and try to like post every day. Give yourself a reasonable schedule, and you can always up it later, but give yourself, whether it's once a week, twice a week, just give yourself some sort of goal, and then map it out how you're going to achieve that goal, and then get the content for at least a few weeks out so you're not stressing, so you're always ahead of yourself. Especially, I know if you're starting a blog, you probably have another job right now because it doesn't pay you right away. So that will just get you on a schedule, so that if you are working, you stay structured and on a schedule, and you can keep up with the blog. Okay, those are just 5 tips for starting a blog in 2016. You know, in all industries now, or especially like in the digital age, if you're in any form of digital business, it moves fast. So I mean, blogging is still so new, but 5 years ago it was like nothing. It wasn't even like a major thing. So that's not a long time ago, you know. So for the fact that it's moved so fast in 5 years, like, I'm excited to see what it's gonna be in 5 more years. Like, what is happening to the world that like bloggers are kind of taking over. I don't understand. I kind of like it. It feels good to be your own boss and to have creative control, especially as a creative person, to have creative control over what you're doing. It's honestly the most uplifting feeling in the world. But at the same time, you have to be a boss and you have to get your stuff together. So actually, I'll give you a bonus tip. Another bonus tip is reaching out to brands. In the beginning, of course, you're going to do things for free, but I think reaching out to other bloggers that are kind of starting out too, and that you like their aesthetic, and reaching out to brands and asking to work with them, and maybe mapping out the type of imagery you would create for them. Because at the end of the day, a lot of brands are working with bloggers for their imagery and less for their numbers. So if you can create amazing imagery that matches a brand's aesthetic, I'm sure you can get some sort of work with them. Whether it's paying or not is another story, but getting your foot in the door is the most important thing. So I feel like just reaching out to brands, introducing yourself as a blogger, maybe checking, if you don't hear from them as you're growing, checking back with them months later, and just staying consistent. Going to networking events, going to blogging events. Look up blogging events in your area. I feel like every area has events now for bloggers. Maybe start a network in your area and find different bloggers in your area and kind of do a little, what do they call it? Mixer. Do a little mixer together and just get to know each other. I mean, I think one of the biggest things I've learned about blogging is the community. And if you have friends in this industry, it only helps you that much more. So I think building a network is honestly probably the most important thing I've said today. And that's for every career that you're doing. You have to build a network. You have to make yourself be known that this is what you do. And you will be surprised the opportunities that come from that when you put it out into the world and tell the world, like, this is what you do, and you find other people with the same interests as you. So that's all I have to tell you. You know, it's going to start off slow. That's normal. And as long as you keep with it and you're focused and you have drive and determination, I honestly feel like you can do anything that you want to do. So don't be discouraged if you want to start a blog and you don't know where to start. I hope that these tips help you a little bit. And if you have any other questions, like specific questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them and answer them. And like I said, I'll leave links for like templates and cameras you can use to get started. I'll leave links below for that. And I'll also put this in a blog post on my blog, locksandtrinkets.com. Thank you guys for stopping by. I know you guys asked for this video and I'm posting it like 10 years later, but I hope it was helpful. I hope you liked it. And don't forget to subscribe, share it with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, don't sit cross-legged for a long time. It really hurt.